baby. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's me. It's Michael B. And this is a very special episode tonight where we're going to talk about how we, the community, Arcade1Up fans, can get Arcade1Up to make the games we want them to make. Hopefully this will be fun. I've got my buddy B Kong here with me. Get ready for another action-packed episode of the 16th best home arcade podcast on the internet. This is Chill and Chat with Michael B. What are you doing, B Diddy?
Hey, what's going on, man? I love that you are in rankings, man. If you're the 16th best channel, damn it, where do I rank in that scale? So
you're probably like the 5th best. Like you're really good.
Best worst reporter is the only thing that really matters to me, though.
So anyways, I want to say thanks for B to be here, because me and B were having a chat online last night about Arcade1Up and what's going on. We had a really good discussion about what they could do moving forward to give us the games we want from them. And I said, screw it. Why don't we just do this on air and talk about this? So here we are tonight.
Yes. And anytime Michael B has a thought in his brain, he can't let it out completely unless he's in front of about 100 people talking about it live. So this is the best way to let it all out, Mike. So
well, I mean, we were having such an engaging conversation. I thought it was better to share it with people, to get people's opinion on it too, instead of us just going back and forth, because we actually have a little bit of a conflicting opinion. We have two sides on this, on what we can do as consumers and what Arcade1Up can do to get those cabs out there. And I thought it would be cool for you to give your piece, and then for me to give my piece, and kind of share our opinions and see what the community thinks.
Yeah, a part of that was you and I were kind of tied during the Time Crisis release, right?
Yeah.
That time frame around August, right when a lot of crap happened to the organization, right? Post-July Comic-Con, it was a whirlwind of Evo, and then there was this Time Crisis thing. There was a state, right when John D left, where they didn't quite know what they wanted to do. But there was, and intention that there was a desire to connect more with the community. They didn't know the how, but straight from the top of the organization at the time was trying to reach out, and at least met with you, with me, with Travis, and I'm hoping that eventually they would reach out to others to have that similar conversation. I'm really hoping that they would, but as far as I know, we're the only ones that really had that conversation with them.
Yeah, so I think that was a lot of Travis's doing, because Travis has asked me a bunch of times. He said, like, if I ever give up Arcade1Up update, would you be interested? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I wanted Travis to continue, right? Because I thought Travis was doing a really good job, and I liked just commenting on what they talked about. And Travis is better than me. I want to ask questions, but I mean, you're only going to get the answers they can give you. I feel Travis is better at, managing to get more of a coherent answer out of the people there than I am. So I was hoping he'd continue. Maybe he'll come back. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I think that's where, and then my latest stream that I joined with Cornercade, he was asking, like, and you did a stream, like, it's been silent. And as far as I know, the last time that we spoke with the team, and they had some desire to do some community relations things, Travis was going to be more involved with community things. And I know he's going to do some personal things, and maybe I asked them recently, I was like, hey, is there going to be a one update show soon? And he said, unfortunately, not soon, but something, right? So I don't. And my question more is not about do we go to him or do we go to other people? Like, who is really now meant to be a community relations person from 1UP? And so I think that's where I'm left questioning where we get our sources.
I think Travis is going through a lot right now. I mean, I don't. It's not a problem I've had. It's definitely not one Nostalgia would have. But Travis just recently had a penis reduction surgery. He was just too big, so he had to have its size. And actually, I don't know exactly what's going on with Travis, but I know that he had some personal stuff going on. And also in the tech biz, I mean, there was just a time a little while ago where like all the new Apple devices came out, and even though Travis was under contract making money from Arcade1Up, we're not talking about like a job. Like Travis's YouTube revenue, that revenue all comes from the tech side, and basically, it's like the episode of The Office where. Yeah, it's like the episode of The Office where Jim is like, this is my one sale. I make this sale and it makes up 25% of my yearly revenue. So Travis was kind of doing that tech stuff for a while.
Yeah, that's true. And if only I knew what the Office reference would be, I would follow you.
You got to watch The Office, man. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I do also want to give you credit because there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that people don't know about. And one of the things B was a huge proponent on was they wanted to talk to B about doing community activations. That was B's concept. And I mean, we saw that. You did such a good job with the Time Crisis release. I mean, you were a great candidate for the review cab. Putting it out in the bars, all the content you made was great. But B wasn't trying to hog all that for himself. Like, he was constantly suggesting, hey, you guys are going to be in Chicago for the Big Buck World Championship. I know XX and X YouTuber. I heard these people were going. Why don't we set them up and you guys can meet up and do some streaming? And it was weird because, like, they never really took up on any of those opportunities. It wasn't like fly B out to places. It was like, hey, let's just work with the people local, and it just never materialized.
Yeah, when I spoke with Davin, I had three things in mind, and I don't know if I articulated it that well, but I was like, there's three things that get the community really excited, in my opinion. One is when a new release happens. Anytime there's news and info about a release, whether you hate it or like it, that's like a big deal. Two would be whenever there's crap for sale. Sales excite the community like no other when you get good deals. And the third one is like activations and events, because you kind of get this sneak peek and see what's happening, and you get to be part of a community thing. And those are all things that they can control. And there's a lot of things that are outside of their control, but those three things, to some level, I'd say, I think they can time things where one of those three things is happening every other month, right? One of those three things, an announcement, a sale, or some sort of community engagement activation. It will keep the momentum talking about the company often. And to your point, I love going to the events that I could, but yeah, it's just like there's just a missed opportunity, I think, because one of their concepts is that they have to put the resources in getting people to build these cabinets and host all these things and talk to people. But there's a lot of community folks that would, if you put some thought into it and some planning, you can mobilize a lot of people to do things because they still like the brand. You and I are in a nonprofit space. I specialize in getting people to do unpaid labor as part of their work. It's actually what I do for a living. And so the power of like utilizing volunteers, it's a little bit different when it's a for-profit, but there's still nostalgia. There's still people that would be brand ambassadors to do something like that if you did it and mobilize them right.
Yeah, and it's not something you would have to pay them, give them money. There's people just willing to communicate, help. There's opportunities to engage with Arcade1Up. Like we talked about, hey, man, it'd be cool if like you arrange some kind of meetup. Like it doesn't even have to be anything money-wise out of Arcade1Up's pocket. They could tie it in with things they're doing. They could plan something in Miami. I mean, in Dolphin Stadium, whatever it took, and just seemed like unfortunately it's not something that maybe either they weren't interested in or really they didn't have and you would know this better than I would, really they don't have the force to conceptualize some of these ideas. And they don't have the infrastructure to do it. And so to us it seems so easy because we work in the not-for-profit field, so we're doing events with literally rubber bands and sticks. We're like the MacGyvers of events, and to them it just seems, no, this is impossible.
Yeah. And it felt like that way when I was doing some of the activations back when Liv was here, right? And we were just getting like the warehouse sale. That was definitely not a polish shop at all. And I was like, I always wanted a chance to go back and do it right after a year of learning, right?
Yeah.
Or the activation when Liv went to a bar and we had Cleo Thomas, Zero from Holes out there, right? It's like, the dude from Holes was there. Maybe we should have announced that and like, promoted that a little bit more. So there's been some missed opportunities within that space, but at least we got to do something.
Yeah. So really quickly, just Zero Hero brings up a really good comment here, and I do want to talk about this. And I don't know if you've engaged with this much. I do know Cyrus, poor Cyrus, has become a scapegoat for Arcade1Up, and he's taken a brunt of it. And very early on, he took a lot of the criticism, like, pretty on the chin for what Arcade1Up was doing. So I think there is some of that. Like, you have to understand, Cyrus getting in front of the camera and making these videos that of questionable quality and stuff like that, or doing these shows, that's not his job. That's something he's doing, wearing many hats for the company. And so I think maybe scared of the community. I don't know about scared of the community, but maybe they don't feel that it's working because of some of the responses, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, being a public face of a company in this community it comes with a lot of you need that thick skin, right?
Yeah.
Because a senior VP of licensing making commercials at Hogwarts, right? So
Well, that one's not so bad. That one was actually pretty
fun,
good.
though.
Yeah.
But that's part of the job title, right? In terms
Yeah.
of who's been out there and connecting, and for better or worse, he has been after John, probably the most person that's spoken to the community. David McIntosh was that at some point, but he's really stepped away from that.
I mean, David McIntosh is trained marketing specialist. Why isn't he doing this?
Yeah. He is not even the person that's speaking in those videos. He's the person that's pressing the button. So he's funny. I met him in person, and he definitely is camera shy.
But it's weird. He's so charismatic. He was one of the exciting faces of Arcade1Up back in the early days, back when he still worked with that games, but was working with Arcade1Up too. Remember that?
Yeah, I think he has the talent for it, but he's just the comfort level's not there. And to be a content creator, to put yourself out there for criticism, you definitely have to do that. They've never really had a great social media person type to do that on behalf of the company. But here's where the missed opportunity that you've wanted to do with this group for a while is that you could create a short program, right, where you create materials and information and then send it to a distribution list of people that would love to be that front person, and you never have to say anything.
Yeah, I pitched it. I pitched it. I even volunteered. I was like, literally, I will do this for you. Like, all you have to do is work with me, or give me the assets. Don't even do it with me or through me. Just set up some kind of resource where anybody who wants to make content on Arcade1Up has this information available, because the more stuff that's out there, the better it is for you. And again, it just never conceptualized.
I mean, you don't have to work with any particular content creators that you want to. Yes, there's like programs like At Games has, an influencer program, but my most recent experience with this, and I don't have an actual NDA with Stern, right? So I never signed anything with them, but they reached out and they're like, hey, would you like to make content on Jaws? And they sent me a press kit and said, here's the embargo information. I was like, perfect. And no other expectation, just like, here's the assets and make it like on this particular date after this time. That's it. And so
that's all
the third party marketing group though. So maybe that's what it is.
That's how it should be done. That's how most companies do it. Some companies do it a little bit different. Honestly, that's what At Games are doing with their influencer thread now. Instead of sending out emails, they basically, the exact same time they're going to post the information themselves, they give it to us, a package that we can use, use. You remember, you were in there. So they tell you not to use their packages. So there's that, and like Zen Pinball is another one that's great, because Zen Pinball doesn't even send out emails. They just literally put it up on their website, and they're like, here's all the assets, do what you want with it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it'd be cool if more companies did stuff like that. I'd be down with that. And I tried my best to get Arcade1Up to do that.
Yeah, and if there's I think I'm in the business of getting a volunteer feedback and community feedback from my clients often, right? And I know there was that one time many years ago where they did a survey to the customers asking for what they wanted. But I think there's also a smart way where they could do a I don't know if not a town hall, but just like a community, like a way to get that feedback where you hear it. And it wouldn't have to be really big, but it would create at least some positive sentiment that there's momentum happening. The large gaps of no communication are sometimes the worst, right? Where then everybody's just thinking about and assuming what's happening. So I think that's just every single time there's large gaps of information, misinformation, we're left to be guessing what's happening and all the other rumors and things.
I may be partially responsible for that. And like
you are, you can't stop talking about it. You have a thought. You just need to get it out.
Well, I am that way. I'm a passionate guy. Like, you know, what you see is what you get most times. Sometimes it's not the best. And I'm passionate about this. I want Arcade1Up to be successful. It's just, I like what they do. It's been rough the last year, especially where I'm here in Canada, because on top of us getting limited releases from Arcade1Up in new style games and stuff like that, there's also, of course, the additional costs with Canada because of the dollar, so it makes it a little bit harder to justify spending. But also, like, we're not getting everything. We never got Fast and the Furious. We technically got Street Fighter 2, but not really. So it's been a rough year, and I tried my best with that too. I gave the distributor a hard time. I gave the Brick a hard time, and what can you do?
What was the last cab that you got? Was it the XL?
Yeah, Pac-Man XL was, I only bought 2 Arcade1Up products last year. There was a crazy sale just after I sold my Pac-Mania cab last year of the Super Pac-Man Party Cape was on for like $149, so I picked that up. But then I ended up getting the XL, which I was going to get anyways if they would actually sell it here. And so I'm very happy with that. But like other than that, outside of you guys talking me out of getting Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe, Street Fighter Deluxe when they were on sale, like that's all I've been interested in this past year.
Yeah. What was the last cab that I bought? Was that amazing Class of 81 cabinet? It just miraculously showed up as an opportunity to purchase.
Off the side of the road, yeah. Do you want oranges or do you want Class 81? Which one?
I did get Time Crisis. Time Crisis is still in my possession, so I did take it back. It's now back in my possession from the brewery. It did survive much better than I expected, being in a public place for 6 months. So kudos to at least them. You know, the only thing that really broke was the trigger on one of the guns to like lock it in place. But everything else was pretty spick and span. Like I remember I left Simpsons there for like the first month afterwards. Somebody spilled beer and then the whole like thing just blew up. So then I had to get a replacement thing. But can't put beer on a gun cabinet. So
all right. So I don't want to talk about that too much. It'd be nice if they did something, if there was some kind of community plan, but maybe right now they just, you know, this is not their top priority. They've got other things to do. So one of the things we know that they're doing, they skip CES. We're all wondering what's going on with the new lineup of games. There's a lot of rumor and innuendo out in the community on what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, the way Arcade1Up works is, like, I did a video about this the other day, and I said, I think what happened was they had a list. John D. and Scott left the company, and honestly, like, when a huge chunk of your leadership team leaves like that, maybe that threw plans completely out the window and they had to start again from scratch. So maybe they're behind the 8 ball by like 3-6 months or something like that, and they're playing catch up now. Could be a million different things. Could be they brought a list of games to retailers and the retailers are like, we don't want those. So of course, then again, it's back to the drawing board. So one of the things you mentioned earlier was Live, and that was actually a really exciting time for us because at the same time Live came in, they did their last real direct-to-consumer cab, which was Dragon's Lair. And it had, what was on the cab? It was like a limited release or something like that?
Private Reserve.
Private Reserve. And we were like, oh my God, Private Reserve. They're going to start doing some kind of Hasbro Pulse direct-to-consumer model. And you talked a lot about this last night. Why don't you tell everybody your concept of how we as consumers can get what we want from Arcade1Up?
Yeah, one of the other companies that I really have enjoyed following is Hasbro and HasLab products and just crowdfunding, right? So the Kickstarter type of campaign, the HasLab window, the Liv came from Hasbro. You know, this was one of her projects that she really helped launch, was kind of some of these HasLab campaigns and things. So I'm kind of throwing it up onto the screen if you want to share it.
Yep.
But this is essentially Hasbro's version of Kickstarter. They created on their website the very first one that came out in 2019. This was really cool. It was the sail barge from Star Wars. It was like ginormous, gigantic figures that we would never see in a store, but it was $500, and you had to get up to 5,000 backers, and if you got more of it, it would get funded. So it's just essentially their version of Kickstarter. You know, they have campaign stuff, and over the years, I've been excited because every single one of their HasLab things they've done have been up and down, and it's almost like you can almost follow Arcade1Up's example. It's like, oh, this is the next thing they're releasing. This badass Unicron figure was like amazing. I was so excited about Unicron. I actually backed this one. I didn't back the Sail Barge because I didn't have nostalgia for it. And then each release, I think for the first 2 years was like great. There's like awesome stuff. And then I remember the first thing that came out that was like questionable. I'm trying to get back to the actual. Go back. All right. The first one that was like super questionable because they did the Razor Crest, they did Galactus. This one,
is that the same Razor Crest that was on your Infinity game table for 2 years?
It was the same Razor Crest that was on my Infinity game table. So yeah, I think people were excited about the Sentinel, even though they've done a Sentinel release before. It's super huge, but Galactus was the first questionable one for me, and the reason was Marvel had already released a couple of versions of Galactus already. This was almost like a Gen 1 cabinet, and then now we're getting the deluxe style cabinet. Like they started to re-release figures they've already done because there was 2 different Galactuses, and now this was the 3rd one. So I was like, meh, I still got it because it was still okay. And then Victory Saber was a new mold. And then this one, it's Sky Striker from G.I. Joe. This is just a complete again, there were questions. And right, like the Rancor that failed. Nobody liked. It's just a different expensive lightsaber. It has that engine vengeance Ghost Rider 1-2. No, some of these reasons they make it. People didn't like Ghost Scale. Everything else has gotten funded. It's one that they're funding now. This really brought back. I just looked at it was it's legacy robots in 2001. Is this ring a bell for you?
Yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so our idea out in the skies was cool at the time. But it's a re-release of something. It's the same exact toy. And I read it. It's like, it's the same mold. Joint. Extra features thing. This in 2004. And Prime was, and Ultra Magnus figure was back then. And you can tell now, 5,000 people backing it, and people are gonna throw their money at it because it's Transformers, and I probably will buy it because I'm terrible at this stuff. But there's a cycle of rehashes that's happened. Oh my god, I just dropped it, and it's now. It's now in pieces now. That's what Transformers. But my point was like, it's funny to see that these things are kind of like cyclical, right? They have some badass stuff on here, right? A Ghostbusters plasma box and like these really cool ghost things. There's some really cool stuff, but there's also some questionable things. But but the whole point is that stuff fails, but this gives the community something to aim towards, right? Like if there was a pre-order Kickstarter thing for Arcade1Up, not for the Infinity Table, but they truly did it for cabs that we wanted, the community could really select and really show with their dollars pre-ordering that they could do this. And with the HasLab model, and same as Kickstarter, you don't pay unless it gets to the target number. So you're not really losing money. So I don't know. I want to see them do more pledges. And I think there's some infrastructure. I was hoping this was going to come when Liv came, but it never came out.
It never came. I think what happened with Lib, unfortunately, was they got tied up with the projects that they already had lined up for Liv, which was bringing that 1-Up show to light, being the new face of Arcade1Up. So, and a lot of people don't know this, John really wanted to move into the background and avoid, the public role he previously had because of, some of the air of him in the community. He thought it would be better to have a new public face. That's why Liv was really the one in front of the camera. And I think what happened is, unfortunately, Arcade1Up, they had those issues with Blitz, where Blitz was a bomb, and it just killed all the momentum of the company, and they had to move a couple people out, and we lost what Liv could have brought to the table.
Yeah. Sorry if my audio, just reading the comments right now, maybe I was getting too close to the mic. I was like, oh,
No, it wasn't your audio. What happened is your internet completely shit the bed when you picked up the transformer.
Yeah, Hasbro was like, he started to talk trash about Hasbro. All right,
So
sorry.
Mattel also has a similar program, because I think I remember trying to shill a WCW ring one time on Super Game Room dudes, and they never got funded. It was this WCW ring that was like $750, so it was ridiculous.
Forget what it's
And
Mattel,
Mattel Creations,
right? Yeah, Creations. So they also have I've never really done any of the Mattel Creations ones before, but yeah, wrestling stuff. You wanted a big giant wrestling then? I was like seeing what the latest things are.
There it is, the Retro Revival. It's the big one now. I'm excited about.
Nice.
Yeah, because they're the second wave of WWF wrestling figures that came out after the LJN Rubber Superstars. These were the next line, and they've been doing retro ones for a year, but this one looks really cool. I mean, you've got Hulk Hogan, Big John Studd, Muhammad Ali is the ring announcer, and Wendy Richter. Very cool stuff. And Zero Redux mentioned it. Super 7 does crowdfunding too. They're doing a new line of G.I. Joe figures right now that look incredible. And I think they had a giant... I don't think it got funded after, but you know the Cobra battleship from like the big one that looks like the snake. Anyways, I think that I don't know if that one got funded or not.
That I don't know, but yeah, it's good. So I mean, crowdfunding, it's a thing, right? So I think it could happen in our space. You know, people have been clamoring for those really unique titles and things, and what would it take from the company to produce like a reel to talk about a product, right? I mean, is there a ton of investment? Because they make prototype cabs all the time, but when you're launching a campaign, it's a photo shoot of the potential picture of the cabinet, right? Maybe some featurettes. I don't know. I don't know how long it would take to put together a little reel to promote it. So I don't know. What do you think?
I wish Arcade1Up would do this. I see a lot of opportunity here, and it is the way that they can get licenses out that they normally wouldn't get out. Like something like a Qbert. If they can't sell that to the retailers, I mean, I think there's enough demand from the community, and we've seen this before, and it's kind of frustrating to talk about because so many people have tried different campaigns, and this will get into my topic later, where they target Arcade1Up directly, and they're like, "Hey, Arcade1Up, we got 800 signatures." Like there was the free MK4 movement, and you know. Zohar spent like a fortune getting people to do TikToks and everything like that. He put his heart and soul into that, and it went nowhere, right? Like it's just nowhere. And then even Ed Boon shared it. I know that another guy in the community, I can't remember his name now, he started a Qbert petition. It wasn't P-Dubs, believe it or not, but he started a Qbert petition that got 863 signatures, and Warren Davis even tweeted it out at one point. So, I mean, that had support too, but like, it's just, at the end of the day, no matter how much we want this stuff, if they can't sell it to retailers, it's never going to come out. So, I mean, something like this will be good, but it's not that simple. I mean, obviously, using a platform like Kickstarter, there's fees that go to Kickstarter, so that would make it a little bit difficult. I mean, they did have success with the Infinity Game Table.
I was just trying to see like this, because their goal wasn't actually a target number of backers; it was actually a dollar amount. Yeah. So their only $50,000 was their original goal to make this happen. And they got over $1 million.
Well, that's because they only needed to buy $50,000 worth of these Infinity Game Tables from AliExpress and then rebrand them
and turn them around. Yeah, but there's only like less than 1,500 people that back this. I was thinking about that because like for a run to complete, because the Hasbro's are like way high run, and we're thinking like, what's the target number then? Is it 3,000 that it would take to get this Going? That's a lot of people.
We
Going
don't we
1,500 back
don't
then.
we don't know what that is. That's a bit of a moving number. We heard
Hmm.
5,000 at one point, 3,000 at one point. At one point
Hmm.
before John left, he said they could do smaller batches now. But I mean,
Hmm.
that's just a production batch. We don't know
Yeah.
what the actual math is when it comes to licenses, how much the license is, what
Yeah.
their margin is, and how they can repay those licenses. And as we found out, those
Hmm.
licenses aren't cheap. Like I remember Eck Games one time went nosing around for Mortal Kombat, and they were like $1 million, and Eck
Hmm.
Games was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm remembering the marketing that they took to get this to make it happen, and I was like, hey, it was decent. It was put together. It sold and got picked up, and I know there's also something of a community engagement when you're kind of trying to back something.
Yeah.
Like you almost feel more invested in it and like proud. And yes, it can go to retail later, but being one of the first people, and like me, I'm trying to see where I was. I was one of the dumb Founders Club people. I paid $1,000 for this thing. Why? Because I could have Kongs of Rust in the Infinity game table on it. I was one of 44 people that did this.
Well, you also needed a great place for your Razor Crest.
I absolutely needed a great place to put my Razor Crest.
So
Uh,
it's funny. Darren Kane, who's here in the chat, he used to work for Arcade1Up, and
mhm.
this is one of the big things he was pushing as well. He actually mentioned it in his job interview and said this is a route we could go. And the reason why this model is necessary, because I think Arcade1Up really want we as fans expect Arcade1Up to operate kind of like New Wave Toys, quarter arcades do, where they just say, we have a title coming out, we have a pre-sale, and we're going to do it. Like, they never do a Kickstarter, they just release it. And I don't know how they do it, if they have their own cash reserves, if they secure funding when they do a release, but they just put it out. And I think with Arcade1Up, they used to do that, but I think they're a little gun shy because of past sales results. And I
Yeah,
did
the
want to talk about that a
projections,
little
right?
bit. Yeah,
Mhm.
their to consumer so far has been probably not as successful as they hoped. That's why they're unwilling to do that stuff now.
Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure.
Like if you go back and look at every release all the way back from Burger Time to Golden Axe was the second one, and then you go with after what was it after that? It was Burger Time, Golden Axe, Killer Instinct Pro, and Dragon's Lair. Am I missing another direct to consumer cab, or is that all of them?
They also had some other kind of like limited ones, like the Marvel Super Limited with the
Marvel
Sandwall
Superheroes
bundles,
limited edition.
right?
Yeah,
That was one of those too. That was kind of their first unique special one that they did.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not thinking of any others that was straight direct to consumer.
Frogger did make it to retail. I don't think that was direct to consumer.
Mhm.
Prince Malcolm.
Did Tron start out that way too?
No, Tron
Was always.
surprised them
Mhm.
because they were going to do Tron,
Mhm.
and they didn't think it would be a big hit, and retailers jumped all over it. So they
Mhm.
actually were surprised about the response to Tron.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like all those direct to consumer cabs, they just sat around, and they eventually ended up selling them to different retailers. I know with the Marvel superheroes,
Mhm.
it was eventually available here in Canada at the Brick. The
Mhm.
distributor brought it in. The Brick sold it.
Mhm.
I think Golden Axe made its way to retail in the U.S. through Best Buy. Same with
Mhm.
Dragon's Lair eventually made its way to retail. The only cab that never really made its way to retail was Killer Instinct Pro, and I think that one had some limitations on the cost, and also that box was massive. I don't know if you ever
Was it?
saw like one of the boxes,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like the reason why I mentioned this is like where Arcade One Up is at is not kind of where they were just 2-3 years ago to your
No.
point, right? Where they can just put out a pre-order, put out the projections and kind of hope for it. If we're looking for some of the titles that people want now, right? They're getting to the point where they are obscure. It's not something
Yeah.
that maybe retailers would be willing to take a chance on. So it's like we were just trying to creatively think like, is there a safer way to try to still appease the community and arcade fans that brought like made the company who they are with kind of a low risk proposition of putting a prototype together, getting some guaranteed orders into it, and then doing direct to consumer that way, right? Like I think that's why we could potentially get some of those cabs while they still work on their big business model to retailers to do their bread and butter Pac-Mans, right? So like that way we're not waiting for, and this is the next part, right? The retailers to decide that they want Q-Berts and Robotrons and things. So that's the
Yeah.
other big surprising thing, right?
So there's still limitations with direct to consumer, and even with a Kickstarter or pre-order. Like people say, Why don't they just pre-sell cabs like New Wave Toys? You know, the concept is if they pre-sell them, they can just ship them directly from where they're made to the people. It doesn't work that way. New Wave Toys, we know for a fact, all their stuff gets delivered to their office. They're there with every single piece of the stuff goes in their office, and then they ship it out by hand one by one. So
Yeah.
that's a smaller product. With Arcade1Up doing a bigger product, a lot of times they had to go out and get warehouse space. And warehouse space isn't cheap. As much as it was a good thing, the reason the Blue Cross sale happened is because they had to get rid of a warehouse they were renting, so they needed to move equipment out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Red Cross sale, not Blue Cross, different. Not healthcare.
Oh, Blue Cross. Sorry, we just changed our healthcare plan today. I signed the contract. That's why.
Yeah, they did need to reduce some of that warehouse space, and it was local. So I remember one day when John was like, "Hey, like I have this like thing I need to do. Like I need some help," and like figured it out. So
Where's Bobby Vu going to get his hookup from now that John D's not there?
Bobby Vu. I mean, he was the guy that like whatever they couldn't sell, they already had a buyer for it. So I mean, that's them deals, man. That's them deals.
I love Bobby Vu. That was so funny when you told me that. Bobby Vu, cash money.
Cash money. They delivered it to his house. They took the truck
That's
and sent it to his house afterwards when we couldn't sell the rest of the inventory. So, but yeah, that's like guaranteed sales right there. But man, it's just interesting, like how what we want now is just so dependent on. I think Paul Lindemann was saying it right. Like, how do we infiltrate the people that really are making the decisions for Arcade1Up?
Yeah, Paul said this up here earlier. I don't know if I can go, but no, I can't go back that far. It's unfortunate. But Paul had a comment up there. He said, what we need to do is we need to find out how to get onto the buying team of these big retailers like Walmart and Best Buy. And once we slime our way in, we convince them to buy the cab. That's our way in. And that's the funny thing.
Yeah,
that's literally what we have to do. So I wanted to talk about like the Get Loud campaigns that Liv tried to push during that stream a couple of years ago. And she said, you need to get loud. And what we all did was the wrong thing. We tried to get loud to Arcade1Up. And Arcade1Up don't sell to us. They don't listen to us. They don't make their own products. They might, come up with a concept, but at the end of the day, Arcade1Up doesn't decide what makes it to retail. The retailers do. So we were getting loud to the wrong people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we need to say Best Buy, Costco.
Yes.
I want a Robotron. Costco, get me a Robotron.
Literally, that's one, I'm gonna show you how you can actually impact sales right now. If you've got a minute, I will literally show you on screen.
And Paul's actually saying right now that he sat in those retailer meetings. So it's a retailer buyer meeting with Walmart, Home Depot, and he said it's super tough. Cyrus does not have an easy job. So
no, he does not.
I'm sure, like, it's half sales to somebody, but all right, what are you showing?
So here's what you do. You go, hi, at Best Buy. Not Canada. They don't make any decisions. Canada doesn't make any decisions.
The real Best Buy people
are at Arcade1Up Robotron 2084 cabs going to be available to buy.
So hashtag get loud retailers, or I know you got to come up with your own movement now. Yeah, noted.
Would love that one.
Mm-hmm. There it is. Mike is starting a movement right now. This is how you start a movement. So there's this old TED talk about how to start a movement, and it's not the first person that does it that really helps start a movement. No. If there's a crowd of people and somebody's just randomly starting to dance, you think that guy is a nut show. But the second person that walks up to them and starts dancing with them and is like, you validated the crazy thing that Michael B just did, and you share that thing, or you do the same thing that he did, you are now starting to move it. It's the second person that does it. So be the second person that retweets what Michael B just did, or tell Best Buy, we want Robotron, and you can start a
Well,
movement.
it's
That's
not
how you
just
start a movement.
it's not just Robotron, but the problem is, and Paul, maybe you could tell me, you could attest to this. The impression that I get is that I miswrote Smash TV as Robotron. I sure as shit didn't. But here's the problem: like when these guys are going in and meeting with these retailers, it's a bunch of young kids. They don't have, it's not 40 and 50 and 60-year-old men that have that arcade nostalgia. So like Cyrus could go in there and be like, "Hey guys, we have Qbert," and they're like, "What the fuck is Qbert?" Right? So if they don't know about this stuff, they're not knowledgeable on it. You know, it's not going to sell. Like they know titles like Star Wars, Marvel. That's why Arcade1Up has been successful in the past selling those licenses. But, you know, we've kind of eaten through most of those licenses. There's not much more to come out with that. How do we get to more obscure stuff? We have to create a demand. Not with Arcade1Up, because Arcade1Up doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they want to do. Literally, their hands are tied. They can only do what the retailer wants them to do. So in order for us...
At least they're not in a position in the past to do more. Like currently, yes, right? They are more in the hands of the retailers more than they've ever been, is essentially what where we've been at. So I think
I wouldn't advise this. You go in the parking lot and just walk around and say, "I want a Robotron 2084." But there is nothing wrong with like tagging. Like if you know somebody that works there and saying, "Hey, you guys sell those Arcade1Ups? Man, I would love. Do you remember Cowboys of Moo Mesa or something like that?" Trying to get interest in these titles we want. Because unless we somehow get the attention and attraction of these companies, Best Buy, Walmart, Shop Hippo, and create interest and create a buzz with them where they say, "Hey, maybe we should do something about this Qbert. Maybe we should do something about this House of the Dead." Arcade1Up is never going to be able to release it because we could say all we want. We could be like Mortal Kombat 4 for life. We could scream it. We could get it tattooed on our chest. We could do everything. We could get a petition with 1 million signatures. Arcade1Up will still walk into that licensing meeting and say, "We're doing MK4." And they're like, "Just give us more Pac-Man, man."
More Pac-Man. So we're not inciting people to vandalize parking lots, but how could we smartly still influence people to get some? And I guess it's more of those obscure things that we're at, right? We're really in that next phase of we want higher quality games with the higher chipset type of models, right? Everybody clamoring for the Daytonas and House of the Deads are going to require Model 2 emulation, which is still not super great on a commercial chip emulator, but I think there's still possibility, there's still hope. I think to your point, nostalgia does sell, but how do you give somebody nostalgia? Like, is there a way to sell nostalgia? Like, if they didn't have it in the first place? Like, what if all the execs don't have all this stuff? Like, how can you sell somebody on something that they never experienced? How do you sell somebody like Cyrus on something they never experienced growing up playing?
Yeah, Cyrus, you got to try this sex thing. It's amazing.
You missed it on CES. Our best thing that we found was the handy. Did you see
that? So Charlie Chuck makes a really good comment. Yes, it is their job, but here's the thing: that's their job, sure. But if you want something, you gotta make noise about it, and not in a way that it's not going to show the retailers. Like just a hashtag and stuff like that. That's not going to do anything. Best Buy's not going to pick up a random hashtag. You gotta harass them basically, and who knows? It might still not work. I'm just telling you, the only way in order for Arcade1Up to be successful with the retailers, especially in this economic climate, is to basically make whoever's listening aware of a demand for something that they might not think is something that will be in demand.
What if we go headhunting on LinkedIn and look for senior national buyer, Best Buy, and then just like start?
Don't kid yourself, man. Like LinkedIn is a powerful tool.
Oh, yeah.
No joke.
Yeah. So that's what we need. Maybe we need some infiltration there. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah,
it sounds like people have had experience with it.
Yeah, I don't. We don't want something. We want anything. Well, I don't blame you there. Hey, listen. This is my third Arcade1Up related video in like three days. It might be fourth. I'm trying to keep hope alive here, people. Come on.
You're still excited and passionate because now you want something. It's just a deafening silence, right? And that's why
Yeah.
I do have Cyrus's number, but I haven't texted him because like I don't know if I often don't know how to like manage that relationship, and like I often didn't used to ask John for
Well,
stuff was happening, but I thought I was supposed to ask Travis for stuff, and I don't know if I'm supposed to do that either. I don't know.
uh, Travis is still the community liaison. Everything goes through him, like in terms of community engagements, if there's an issue, or review cabs and stuff like that. So, I mean, here's the thing, guys. If you're a aspiring YouTuber and you want to, work on a review for Arcade1Up, you think you can help them, hit Travis up. That's how you do it. I don't know if Travis is just randomly going to reach out to you. So, no harm in asking if you're interested.
Yeah. Did you really like? I used to. At first, you hated my idea of putting my cab out in public for folks, but what
I
if they
did.
did more of that? Like,
Well, I my problem with it was, and I
yeah,
told you this, B,
yeah,
is it would create an example that maybe
precedent.
not everybody would be comfortable doing.
Yeah,
So, like, here's the thing. Like,
I
say,
see.
for example, I'm on a stream with I win a prize in a stream. I'm just randomly in a stream where they're giving something away. And then everybody's like, oh, YouTubers aren't allowed to accept that. You have to give that back. Then it becomes a precedent, right? And you're just like, fuck, I wanted that.
Well, that happened, and I didn't give it back, so I won the PW missile command thingy, and people
Yeah.
gave me so much shit for it. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever do that again. But
Yeah, I won a Xbox controller from. Oh my god, I can't remember their channel name now, but these guys are amazing. They did the show with Cool Toy. We
Mhm.
grew up better.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
haven't seen them for a while now.
Complete Geek TV.
Complete Geek TV. Those guys are
Yeah,
awesome.
I
I
miss
was
those
watching one time,
guys.
and
Yeah.
I won an Xbox controller, and everybody was like, "You shouldn't have accepted that." And I was like, "But I want the Xbox controller. It's green. It's cool."
Yeah, yeah. We're still my thinking at the time was like I'm still a supporter of his channel. I watch the content and I like and I was like I should be eligible, but I guess it makes some sense for the
And
community.
the problem is, I guess, and like I don't get it, but I get it, is there's a perception that where we're on YouTube instead of just in the chat commenting, that
Mm.
we shouldn't be eligible. We're in a different place. I don't get it. I didn't know that's how community worked. I thought YouTube was a community we were all together. But then again, some people reach out to me and they're like, "You're a community leader," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't
You're
even
the
watch
leader,
half the
Mike.
stuff."
You're the vice mayor of this shit.
But like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's all this
Yeah.
craziness. Like, you're a community leader, and I'm like, no, man, I'm really not. Like,
Just an
if I do
opinionated guy
something,
that wants to talk all the
yeah,
time.
that's
That's
right.
all it is. Yeah, I mean that's what I've learned over the years too, is that as much as people will look at our content and like people will still ask me questions about tutorials they did like 3-4 years ago, and I'm like I have no idea what you're talking about. So things come and go on YouTube, and you really in terms of making content, it's still just talking about what you're passionate about, and people will still come to listen to you when you're passionate about it, no
Oh
matter
yeah,
what it is. So I wish some of the rules would still stay the same, but I
yeah,
do still appreciate the opportunity to chat in front of all these fine folks.
yeah. And just really quickly, guys, like, do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you, like, if there's some cab that you guys want, an example that was given to me specifically was Time Crisis. The reason Time Crisis happened, the only reason Time Crisis happened, and why it was an exclusive at Shop Hippo, is because the guy at Shop Hippo just
That's a
really
fan.
loves Time Crisis, and he wanted them to make a Time Crisis. That was
Right.
100% Shop Hippo made that happen. They were like, "Yeah, we'll take them all. We will take all of them."
So
That's
we need.
probably also why it was so friggin' expensive, but
Well, yeah, they were arguing over price points at the last minute. I
with
remember that.
Shop Hippo, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So we need to infiltrate companies, find
yeah.
out who those buyers are, find out what their nostalgic arcade was, and do Inception, where we get to
I've already done that
implement.
here in Canada. It just doesn't matter in Canada.
It's like, yeah, you just plant a little nugget or something. What? Daytona, Daytona,
Oh yeah, can you
House of
imagine? Yeah,
House of the Dead.
Kevin
Yeah.
Clausen, $2 super chat. Let's hope all home arcade companies succeed. Yeah, 100%. No
You're
one
here.
wants
You're here.
anybody to go out of business. Like,
Yeah,
and we're excited about new shit too. Like, I was floored Unico was still around and gonna be coming back out with this Nova Blast, and I was like, holy shit, Unico are still here, and they're doing really cool stuff.
yeah. Everybody buy an iconic arcade. All home
No,
arcades need
don't do
to
that.
succeed in
Don't do that.
2024.
I saw one in person. You
Are
know
you
that,
gonna go
right?
like do a review on it? Weren't you gonna go back?
I didn't talk to. I haven't been back to the store since. I gotta go talk to the manager there, Jackie, and have a conversation with
Yeah,
her to make sure it's cool. It's not like a mom and pop game store. This is GameStop, right? So
yeah,
I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I like the people there.
yeah. I think you could do it. I mean, it'd probably get the most attention it's seen in a while, so it might be there for a while. You never know.
They were so mad when they were trying to set it up. They could not figure it out. They were like, I was like,
Uh,
I don't think it comes with any games. They were like, well, they gave us this thumbstick, and I was like, they shouldn't have.
Wait, really? So it was a thumbstick, but there was no
Yeah.
like SBC or anything else in there? Like, what are they plugging it into? It just plugs into the machine itself?
Oh no, it's got a Raspberry Pi on it.
Oh, it comes with the Raspberry Pi,
It's actually branded on the side, powered by Raspberry
powered
Pi.
by Raspberry Pi, and
Yeah.
this thumbstick.
They shouldn't have.
Magic coin ops thumbstick of ROMs. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yes. So
That's funny.
that was the conversation we were having last night.
Yeah.
There's two minds of thinking on this. That maybe the path forward for Arcade1Up
Mhm.
is to do a Kickstarter model, their own model where they get some kind of pre-sales and don't actually commit to anything until it's meet some kind of goal. There still is issues with that because they do need storage space, there's shipping capacity, and unless anybody's under a rock right now, go take a look at Arcade1Up's website. They don't sell anything direct to consumer anymore. Everything is through retailers. So it seems like they're trying to avoid the whole direct to consumer piece.
The other thing that would be exciting if they did it, forget all the logistical things, right? How exciting would that be for this community of people to like talk about it the whole time, the
I know.
45 days that it's on there? Like the toy community, by the
Yeah.
way, because I follow the toy community. The minute a HasLab gets posted, it's a live stream. Like, are we gonna buy it? There's people that make projections on if a HasLab, and like they've accurately predicted. They have like this robot that like does like miracle like magic formulas, and they're like, based off of this projection, I think it's gonna succeed if it hits this thresh mark at this certain time. And then
Yeah.
I think one of them, some of them like that are questionable will barely make it. A lot of times people will back it just to get it because every HasLab has always gone up in value.
Yeah.
So because it's limited, right? So
Every
you
new
buy
wave
it
toys
just to
too.
get it.
Every quarter arcade too. Like I ended
Yeah,
up not keeping my
the new wave
Pac-Man.
toys, yeah.
I ended up not keeping my Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, or not not what is it? Not Galaga. What was the first Galaxian? I didn't keep any of those. I was like, they're just taking up space. I don't play them because I've got different ways to play most of those games. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I sold them, and they all sold like well. I was surprised. Same with the new wave toys. The stuff with
Yeah.
new wave toys that's out of stock, they're all collector's items now, right?
They are, and that's what I mean. Speaking of new wave toys, and people are talking about like stuff not playing, like they're cool. They're collectible toys first more than they are arcade machines.
Oh yeah.
They're made for the collector market, and so I think sometimes people lose sight of that. And yes, some of these bigger ones are like made to play more collectors, but even then, they're in the toy category. They won Toy of the Year in 2020, right?
Yeah.
So this hobby was always like made for me because I was like, I'm a collector. I have this terrible mentality about collecting stuff, and then. But with all hobbies and all collections, you sit back one day and you say, is this what I want to collect? Is this the stuff that I'm getting at? So
Oh, I got something for you. I got reached out to by a company. Let me see if I can find it here. See if you know who they are. And I wrote them back today because like most of the times, like being a YouTuber and like putting your email out there, like for business opportunities, contact this email, and like 99% of the time, it's going to be crap. It's people trying to sell you thumbnails, some kind of chat GPT thing, some kind of marketing. I don't want to do any of that. I don't believe in paying people to do my stuff. I just do my own stuff. That's why it's so shitty. So anyways, I got a message from this girl Bethany from a company called where is it? Entertainment
Andy?
Earth.
I was kidding.
Oh, I wish. Entertainment Earth. You ever hear of them?
Oh, Entertainment Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
The huge distributor. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, they reached out to me and they were like, "Yeah, we've got a affiliate commission program. Like, I don't give a shit about that. But maybe there's some stuff I could do, some toy stuff. I love toys. I just bought those Dungeons
Yeah.
and Dragons toys. So I wrote her back and said, yeah, what would this entail? But I'm not just going to randomly do videos saying this is on sale on their store this week. Use this link. That's
Yeah. So Entertainment Earth is like, they're almost like a distributor more than like,
Yeah.
and they do have some things that they make, like, but they'll be the ones that make the Chinatown Market cabinet version of something. Sometimes they'll work with the company to make a special Entertainment Earth version of something. But they have a big giant booth at Comic-Con. That's how I know about them, because I go to the EE booth and try to look what exclusives they have there. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's a starting point to get back into the toy hobby, man. It's a thing. The toy community, man. Those toy people. Geek Dad Life is like, I think, top dog right now.
But you know what's funny? You know how I found Geek Dad Life?
Yeah.
Arcade1Up reviews. That I used to watch him for his Arcade1Up stuff all the time,
His
because he was like,
first video was like a hunting video for a Tron, and I was like, oh, he's the one who inspired me to start a YouTube channel.
For a Tron, like an original Tron?
It was a Tron cocktail cabinet. It was one of his like toy hunting
Yeah.
videos that he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I first found him because he was doing a video of going to try to go out in the wild and find the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade1Up cabinet. That's how I came across him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And now every time I post about my Dungeons and Dragons action figures, Garage Gamer is like pasting me with the Geek Dad Life video talking about how they break, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's also like, as I think it's weird because, like, you know how we collect arcades for at some point our content, right?
Yeah.
But the toy collectors, there's so many things in order to stay relevant. I just only imagine all the lines and things you have to stick, because that stuff comes out more frequently and like more often. And you think my toy room is crazy, like all the toy collector rooms and households full of stuff.
I know.
I'm not one to talk. My house is crazy right now, but it gets crazy. I even though I collect a lot of stuff, I keep the lines of stuff that I collect very small. So like, I like Transformers, I like Macross, and I like 4 or 5 other brands, and that's it. And so I'll collect only from those things. If it's outside of it, I don't. But then some of these toy collectors, they collect everything that's nostalgic.
See,
gotta get this, gotta get that.
That's my problem. I don't collect everything, but like I collect very specific things. So if someone re-releases a toy from the 80s in the original packaging, Mike loses all control. He's like, need that.
You need that. You need
So
it.
it's very funny. Cornercade's here. If they did some kind of Hasbro Pulse model or HasLabs or Mattel Creations, some kind of Super 7 Kickstarter type thing with Arcade1Up, I predict now Cornercade will do an hour stream every day of that Kickstarter to give you the progress update on how the Kickstarter is doing.
Campaign. We went from 500 to 525 today, yo. Let's go.
5 people. Who do you think it was? Let's look at the list.
Cornercade would be the biggest hype man for every single one of those caps coming out.
Yeah.
So that could be a role that he definitely plays in that.
Let me shake my magic 8-ball on Tekken. Here we go. Sources say no. Everybody's convinced that they're doing Tekken this year. I know you got to go. So anyways, guys, that's the main topic. But I do want to keep B here for another couple minutes just because it's this new thing I'm doing. I don't say hellos at the beginning. I get right into the topics. But did want to leave it open for some Q&A. If you got questions for me and B really quickly, I know he's got to leave. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here. If you got some questions, something we can do, talk about now really quick, throw it up in the chat.
Yeah. I took a fun picture of my toy room too. I don't
Let's
think
see
I've
it
ever
while we're
done,
waiting.
like, a big toy room tour. I've always wanted to, but I've not yet. So soon, once I clean up my stuff a little bit more. It's crazy in here. I want to be a toy channel someday. That's what I want to do.
Well, if do you want me to pass you along my contact with the Entertainment Earth to see if you can get involved?
No, it's okay. It's all good. Yeah. EE Entertainment Earth. Yeah, maybe.
JT says, "What did you think of my idea from the Facebook page post?" So I got to go take a look at this now.
We gotta go take a look.
Yeah, because I posted the show up earlier and JT wrote me with a concept. So
Mhm.
I'll bring your thing up and I'll take a look for this. Holy
Look at
crap, B.
look at my Transformers collection. Yeah. That's my wall of Optimus Primes in the top row, and starting from the far right, top right, that's like a G1 Optimus Prime, and right next to it was the Omega Prime. So I literally have not pulled that thing off the shelf in over 10 years. And it's been like, so those are all my primes that over the years. So those top two shelves are all Optimus Primes. Top three shelves are all Optimus Primes. Then I used to collect this line called alternators or Binotechs, which were real cars
Yeah.
that transformed in the early 2000s. And then I have something called Gestalts, the Devastators, and all the combiner robots in that bottom shelf. And then everything in the bookcase are what's called masterpieces, right? They're like the best Transformers. So it's crazy. Even with that, there's too many. And
Have you bought any of the Studio 86 series? Even though they're not in the original
no, I
packaging,
haven't.
I've been looking at those.
Yeah, they're nicer
Yeah.
versions now. They're like really nice, but they're still not as nice as the masterpiece versions.
No.
They're like kind of like commercial versions. So masterpiece line is like those are my favorite. So
Okay. So really quickly, I'm going to take this down because I got JT's idea here. So if you're a proponent of Arcade1Up possibly doing some kind of multicade, this may be something that appeals to you. Simple. Sell cabinets blank. Embrace the modding community, taking it to the next level B. Develop a front end and online scorekeeping platform. iArcade was very close. What they didn't have was the licenses. If I could build a vertical focus cab with the artwork, I want the ease of Arcade1Up menu system that would sell me on making other custom cabs to sit along with it. Customer then gets to say what games are on their cab with the control layouts they want. So it would be basically a buildicade, Arcade1Up buildicade. Well, they've stolen an idea from Glenn before. Why not do another, right?
you never know. You never know.
What do you think of that concept, B? I mean, I don't think that's Arcade1Up's model. That was Arcade1Up's model originally because everybody just bought Street Fighter 2 and then modded the shit out of that.
Yeah. So funny enough, have you been following the John D thread at all on Facebook?
He wrote me and said, I tagged you in a post. And I said, no, you tagged Russian Mike because I never got the notification.
So there's a John D AMA chat happening right now in the official Facebook group that is like using the channels, and I never really followed any of the features for that. But one of the questions recently was asking like do you see a future of home arcade titles with downloadable games? And he says he thinks that's the future of home arcade. So I think he was talking about, if you remember Justin's interview at Comic-Con, John was saying like he thinks there'll be a time in the future where there could be a small package of downloadable games for said cabinet. And so don't know how it would work and all those things, but that was a
yeah, I remember. I think there was something John said that was incredibly smart. If you go back to that leaked list, one of the things they talked about was a Neo Geo XL cabinet. And one of my problems with Arcade1Up doing a Neo Geo product was it just never made sense. Arcade1Up puts 10 games on a cab. I mean, how many times are you going to buy a Neo Geo cab? Are you going to do different art? But what John said they were thinking about doing was having a big red and then having the ability to do downloadable games to it. Like that would have been badass because then, I mean, I know everybody loves the high-low hack, but the ability to add your own games license for those people that, aren't nostalgia, that want to buy their games, perfect. So I think that would have been very successful. That's something I 100% agree with. Something like a Big Red, or what's some other cabs that are kind of like conversion cabs that had tons of games, like a Capcom. Even if you're just going to do it by license, like a Capcom Big Blue, where you then buy games,
right? Kind of makes sense.
Pardon?
Williams multicade.
Exactly.
It already happens, right?
Yeah.
You can do. What's the Pac-Man one? That's a Pixel Bash, right? Like a Pac-Man.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was so mad seeing that Class of 81 Pixel Dash. I do not like that. I don't like Class of 81. I can't help myself.
It had a fridge in it, man. It was cool.
So James Hates Everything asks a really good question, and this is one of the reasons why they've never really considered this. How will the licensors react if Arcade1Up Kickstarter on their IP fails? HasLabs own all those IPs themselves, so it's not like, they're taking their own risk. But how do you work with a licensor to get a waiver to do a title on like one of these Kickstarters? And then if it fails, how does that impact the relationship?
That's a good question.
Yep.
Yeah, because nobody wants to see their product fail at that level.
No.
But it's
Like, I mean, Gmode won't care. They're like, yes, man, we don't give a shit. Do you want burger
yeah.
time? Do you have a company? No, I don't have a
You
company.
tell
I'm a
them
guy in
that
a
you
house.
still
We'll
have
still sell it to you.
guaranteed sales of like, the smallest production run for, their VP, their licensing guy gets one cabinet. They get the prototype cabinet if it fails. Who knows? I don't know. It gets to go up in their office for something.
Cornercade says, guys, we should do a community town hall stream or for 1UP to answer questions and request things to use in future caps. I think that's a great idea, Danny. We're going to steal that. We're going to have a big community forum, and we're going to exclude you like the gatekeepers we are. Thank you so much for your feedback. That's a really good idea, Danny. That would be cool if they'd agreed to do something like that.
Yeah.
If they agreed to do anything, it'd be nice to hear from them. I know you got to go, B, so I'll just keep you for 2 more minutes. We'll take at least 2 more questions, and I'll stick around when you got to go just for a minute if anybody wants to hang out.
No
but
problem.
Have you seen the new Berserk screenshot that came out today? ? What are your thoughts? And thank you again, B, for picking me as the winner of that Space Ace replica.
Won it. He got a Space Ace. I don't think I saw the latest screenshot. Did you?
Yep. I think he's talking about the box, which I have right here. You want to see my box?
Okay. Want to see my baseball? Let me see my baseball.
So here it is here, B. This is the screenshot they released today. Our buddy P-Dubs put it up in Super Game Room, dudes.
Yeah.
Here's our first look at the Berserk Replicade box.
Nice. Looks beautiful. I have zero nostalgia for this game, though, but it looks beautiful.
I remember talking to New Wave Toys when we were in Cleveland, and they tried real hard to get that Stern logo right on the cabinet. They tried everything.
Oh, they couldn't get it?
No. At one point, I don't know if it's still there, but they had an Atari logo on it that was in the old Stern logo form factor. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I do remember that. So for folks that like that cabinet, it's a beautiful color. Even their box and the packaging, I love their packaging and detail. Like, it's just always fantastic. It's good. Favorite knockoff Transformer brand, Fans Toys or Fans Project was one of my favorite ones early on. They came out with something called the Ultra Magnus. Oh, I have it like right here. This is one of my favorite.
You're asking B's exact questions now.
It's my jam right here. Oh, this was a Fans Toys Ultra Magnus, and it was BFG Ultra Magnus because he has a big effing gun. Because this was originally a classics Hasbro figure, but the armor was Fans Toys, a Fans Project, and this. I don't know. It's just a cool looking.
You know what my favorite thing about Ultra Magnus was? And I thought it was the coolest toy ever, like White Optimus Prime, right? But my favorite thing about him is how they set him up as a red herring to be the next leader of the Autobots. He's even like the same vehicle type as Optimus Prime. And then poor Robert Stack dies in the movie, and you're like,
why won't this open? You're supposed to light our darkest hour. Oh, I love Transformers. It's so good.
Yeah, I might watch Transformers the movie after this. I have it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I've been watching actually G1 Transformers on the best streaming service in the entire world, future home of MichaelBtheGameGenie, Tubi. Yeah, but I watch Transformers now when I go to sleep, so I've been having a good time. Really quick, what is this? Distinguished Monster. Do you know if they shot the 1983 arcade scenes from this week's episode of CBC's Son of a Critch somewhere in Newfoundland? I would find that very hard to believe because there's like no active arcades in Newfoundland. My buddy Ralph Link, he's got a couple cabs out in some location, I think out in Clarenville, or it might be further out. I could reach out to him and find out, but I very, very much surprised. I do have a tie-in, though, for Newfoundland and a Newfoundland show for you. A couple years ago, my buddy Mike Dalton, you remember Mike Dalton, the iArcade guy, right? With
the
still has
them all, right?
No, he finally broke up his collection. He gave his Sydney Hunter cab to Ronald McDonald Charities, so they're going to do something with it. But he used to have 2 real pinball machines. He had a Star Wars Episode 1, like Justin has and P-Dubs has. And he also had a Williams, I think it was Fireball. I could be wrong about that. Anyways, he sold his Star Wars Episode 1 to get some work done on his driveway. He basically traded it for driveway work. I was so mad at him. I was like, I would have bought that, dude. Like, talk to me. But he ended up selling the Williams Fireball to another show called I don't remember the name of the show now. It was the one about the guy and the dog. Anyways, hold on. B, I know you gotta go. I'm sorry. I keep you here all night. I don't care about your plans.
You bastard! You bastard! No, it's okay. While you're doing that, somebody was asking if I still talk to John. I don't really talk to him regularly, but we are friends on Facebook, so I'll like a post and laugh at his dancing bowling videos. So that, yeah, I don't have much regular communication with him outside of that at the moment. But I think the latest hints he's been talking to folks is that stuff may be coming this spring. So whatever his next project is, stay tuned. I don't collect statues. Somebody was asking me about statues and where to get stuff like Lara Croft stuff, so I don't know where to get stuff. I used to shop on bigbadtoystore.com a lot for stuff, but I always look on AliExpress first for everything now because I don't mind bootlegs, and I'm pretty sure you shouldn't support them either, but I like cheap stuff, so I'm on AliExpress all the time.
So the name of the show was Hudson and Rex. It was this Newfoundland-based crime show with a dog, and they needed a pinball machine. So they bought the pinball machine, the Williams, I think it was Fireball, off Mike Dalton to use on the show. So that's a cool piece of Newfoundland arcade history right there.
Nice.
We also got a super chat here, $4.99 from Rocky Castello. I've actually got a cousin named Rocky, by the way. It's not his real name, but that's what he goes by. B, when is John D going on your show to announce his plans?
Yeah,
Did you just answer
I
this?
was just trying to address a second ago. I didn't realize the super chat. Thanks for supporting the mic, man. Where's that pinball money at? Yeah, so I don't know when he's going to be coming back. I don't know when he's going to make a public appearance. But I would say right now, while you have his attention, go to the AMA chat on Facebook and ask all the questions you want. He's been responding to every single question on that AMA chat. So I think you should, if you have a question directly and you want to get something answered right now, I know Paul's been in there asking a few questions. This is your chance. He's answering everything. He'll say if he can't, but he's responding to every single one.
So my guess is where John D will appear is he's close with a lot of YouTubers, really close with some people more than others. So I think OTG and Mike of All Trades, who's here, they just started a new show, the Podcast with No Name. He might appear there. There's a possibility he might appear on Cornercade. Stay tuned, guys. Who knows when he'll pop up? He might be on B's channel. He might just show up at B's house and be like, "Come on, let's jump on YouTube."
In Vegas sometime going ooh ooh at a craft table. So if you hear that noise, I'm sure John is somewhere around the corner. So just look for somebody screaming and hollering. Or if in your Union City and you want some lumpia, apparently he's still selling some lumpia, eating lumpia in Union City.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know you got to go, and we're going to do it with this Kevin Clausen super chat, $2 free the B. I know you got to get out of here, B. Thank you so much for being here tonight and doing this with me, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me play with all my toys. It's fun to be able to break stuff.
You should do more stuff.
I know you want a Stranger Things pinball machine, but this is what you need: a Stranger Things mini arcade pencil holder.
That is really cool.
This is what you need, right?
Yeah. Well, B already knows this. And guys, I'm going to tell you this. I swear to God, I don't care if it's a joke. Do not send me super chats after I tell you this. I just share my life with you, not to get money, so don't do it. I got my news about my brake job today, and it was not positive. So my Stranger Things is going to be delayed probably about 2 months, I think, because I got $1,700 brake bill today, which is insane. Yeah. And then B sent me a video of him changing his brakes, and he's like, just do it yourself.
Man, just get a brother-in-law to do it for you. That's what I do all the time.
I wish. I was brokenhearted, man. The sons of bitches. What had happened was I knew I needed my brakes done, but my wife's been in court for the last 2 weeks, and what happened was she had the car every day, so I knew I needed to get it in. So when I finally told her, I was like, get a ride to court. I don't care. The car's got to go in. But what had happened was we rode on the depleted brake pads for too long. So then it was owner stupidity, and we seized the calipers. So it probably would have been like $800 to $1,000. That jumped up to $1,700 because of situational stuff. No big deal.
You gotta get open. Yeah. You
All
can
right.
do what you gotta do. All right. Thanks for having me on, man. Enjoy this man. He's a gem for the community. He speaks with passion. He's a true leader.
I am not a leader in the community.
Where are we gonna go this? I'm just waiting for him to buy his plane ticket wherever we're gonna go this year. I think.
For sure, we're gonna do the nostalgia thing because like it's such a big deal to get nostalgia. Yeah.
All right. So we're doing Pinball Expo, everybody.
Yeah.
October, Pinball Expo, because nostalgia is gonna be there. So there it is. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we're going to
man.
do Pinball Expo. We might be there a couple days early. Goodbye, everybody. Remember, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, social media, harass the retailers, or harass Arcade1Up to do a Kickstarter model. Either way, hopefully they do something soon because we really want to hear from them. Even if it's just Cyrus telling us about what he had for lunch. Something.
I agree.
All
Talk
right.
to you later, man.
All right. See you
Bye.
guys.
See ya.